Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Malikicowtipper bringing you another game of StarCraft 2, and tonight my opponent is Benne. You know, when I think of somebody named Benne, I think of what Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is that? Only one of the greatest ones ever, Total Recall, duh. And Benne, that backstabbing son of a gun. Wow. Anyway, we're going to see how well Benne does. Maybe he'll try to backstab me this time. I mean, you know, we're both Zerg. You would think that, you know, Zerg would be Zerg and, you know, we'd all get to hang out cool and stuff, but obviously not. I mean, I guess even in, you know, Zerg versus Zerg reality, or in a world where there's different colored Zerg, you know, Zerg are going to fight. But anyway, you have me, Malikicowtipper, as the red Zerg in the lower left-hand corner of... God, I really need to learn these maps. I apologize. This is only my second cast since coming back to StarCraft, and I don't have the names of some of the maps memorized anymore. If I did at one point, I do not now. So let's just go ahead and pull up the Resources tab right here. So, from what we can see here, Benne, you know, appears to be doing a fairly standard build. He has Overlord up and coming, he's got a Worker coming out, and I'm sorry if I'm not up with some of the latest metagame tricks, but he's basically doing the exact same build that I'm doing. What you do is you build until you have 9 workers, build your Overlord, build your next worker, and then right as your Overlord pops, you'll have just enough minerals and 2 larvae sitting around to get your next worker. So it's a very efficient build. There's really no time wasted on 3 larvae where you could be producing and you're not producing, and it just ends up working really well. And with myself, I like to go 14 pool on this particular build because, again, you're not really sitting there waiting for anything. You're always constantly building and doing something when you do a 14 pool. Sometimes I will do 13 if I notice I'm in a smaller map, or if I know I'm going to get 6 pooled by, say, some other Zerg, but, you know, they're pretty much interchangeable. And then what I'll do is I'll typically build 1 more worker and then go for a 14 gas. From my understanding, this has been around since I started playing StarCraft 2 when this game came out. So we take a look at what Benne's doing here. It's kind of interesting. He is built up... Let's take a look here. So he has some minerals saved right now, and I'm not sure if Benne got too busy scouting and forgot to build his pool, or quite what's going on. Ah, I see. Benne went for an early expansion, and in larger maps like this, especially if you know that your fellow Zerg is going for a slower pool, such as a 14 like mine, it is completely acceptable to take a first expansion before you get your pool down, because benefits of an early queen, you know, they're hit or miss, because you might not have the economy to necessarily support all of the larvae that the queen produces, but on the flip side, it is nice for pushes, and I myself like to have the queen out early, just get her injecting as much as possible, and it's worked out well for me in the past. So we take a look over at my base here. I am getting gas early, and this is something that I've done since I started playing StarCraft, and realistically speaking, I probably do not need to have 3 workers on this gas, but I do it more out of a force of habit, so I don't forget to put one there later for the game, and it does hurt your resource production just a little bit, and it's something I just need to get a little bit better at my micro, and then I won't have an issue. And you can see here that I've pretty much forgotten about this drone, so he is most certainly going to die, and I'm taking my expansion around the 20 food count, and again, I find that to be pretty beneficial because you will do that before your queen pops, and at that point, you'll have enough workers going at the minerals where you're going to have a surplus of minerals, and you'll have 300 minerals, and it's just a good way to spend them right as your queen gets out. And then what you can do is you can do 2 injects here, and right after you finish the second inject, you can then start to walk her over to your next base and produce a queen here. And the timings just work out pretty nice, so you have queens at both bases. Again, you're not really waiting around much. And we can see that Benne over here is going for a Roach Warren, and not really so much aggression from either sides right here. And having this hatchery here, you know, we both have our queens, and we're both going, if we take a look at the income tab right here, you can see that I'm up by 1 harvester, so it's really not that much of a difference. Neither of us have lost, well, I've lost 1 unit. And as far as resources goes, I'm sitting on a little bit more food, money than he is, but not so much. And this is going to kind of where... We're going to kind of wait and see how this game develops here. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens. You know, you'd think I've just played it, so I should remember. Let's just see what the unit production tab is. So if we take a look, myself, I'm producing another queen, and I've been kind of getting in the habit of getting more than 1 queen per base. I find that I like having those extra queens laying around, and they do really good for repelling early air attacks, or, you know, sniping some banglings, just stopping some of the harassing lings that can come into your base. So if we see here, he is sending out 4 Zerglings, and I believe they sniped my 2 lings that I sent out to scout his base earlier. Let's take a look and see what I can see here. So we take a look at this. I have no clue what Benne is doing right now. They probably killed them right up here. And right up here you can see that I got speed far, far earlier. And that's one benefit of getting, I guess, the early gas, is that it allows me to upgrade to speed relatively quickly, and then when my roaches drop, or when I'm ready to produce some roaches, I'll hopefully have some extra gas. So we can see that Benne has stored up a lot of gas. And we're going to go back to the everyone view here. And I'm going to try to poke in here with these lings. And as I run in, I'm like, oh, I'll take a shot at the queen, but I actually want to get some scouting done. And I see 4 roaches coming out right there. And I don't know if any of these lings are going to make it out. More than likely, hero ling. Come on, come on. There you go, buddy. So that gives me a little bit of a better idea as to what Benne's doing. If we take a look at what Benne sees for me, Benne doesn't know that I'm getting roach tech, and he does know that my expansion is, is being built, but he doesn't necessarily know how far it is along. So if we take a look at this, I'm producing 8 roaches. Benne has, let's take a look at the army tab right here. Oh, nope, not that one. The units tab. So Benne has 9 roaches to my 2 lings, but I have 8 roaches on the way. So that should help balance it out. And go back to the income tab right here. You can see that I am starting to pretty much soar ahead as far as early harvester count. And this can definitely make or break. Actually, I'm going to say it absolutely is your late to mid game, these early resources. So to that, he has a nice roach push. But if we go and take a look at the units right here, realistically speaking, I have enough of a force where I can hold him back, and in anticipation of an attack coming, I have 2 spine crawlers down plus an evo chamber, and I have my first upgrade going. So, kind of going back to that, this is kind of like doing a little bit more with less of your units. If you're going to be on the defensive, and if you can kind of anticipate what the enemy is doing, you can see that I don't really know where he's going, but I am trying to get some overlord spread, and what I'll typically do is once I have a few lings, I'll start sending them around the map, just to kind of have an idea of where their expansions are and where they're at the game itself. And these roaches here, for how many of them that he has, not upgraded as of yet, they really won't be able to do too much against breaking this attack right here. He might be able to push through, but it really wouldn't benefit much. And you can see he's just kind of poking in, testing the water, and I think he's going to go and hide his units somewhere right over here. So you can see that I'm up 46 to 23 in the harvester. So this entire time, even though I knew that there was an attack coming, just based on what he was doing, and now that I saw those roaches, I'm still going to continue just to absolutely dominate on the economy. And if we take a look at units now, he has 21 roaches to my 11 and my 1 ling. So if he made a push right now, there's a good chance that he may be able to break through and win this game. But with the roaches he has here, he won't be able to break through until these reinforcements get here. And I believe he might have left 1 or 2, yep. And in such a big map like this, it's tough to do an early roach push without speed because they take so long to reinforce. So if we take a look at the production tab, we'll see right here that I'm getting down infestors. And I'm building some lings, and I'm also building 13 roaches. So once my 13 roaches are built, then we'll be pretty much even as far as the army is concerned. And that's the thing with a big map like this is, because it takes so long to reinforce, even though he's getting his roaches out and he's basically pouring everything that his economy has to offer into his army, he won't be able to match mine. And as long as I do good larva management, which usually you can see I have some larvae kind of sitting around, I can build those units if I need to. So we're just going to kind of poke at each other right here, and I do lose a roach, but he sees that I've matched him force for force. He knows that I have these 2 spines here, and that's just really going to be enough to deter him from coming into my base. So we're going to keep switching back, 44 to 27. I have a very, very commanding lead in the economy right now, and you can see that these 2 hatcheries really are not quite enough for me to spend my money quick enough. And I do need to get better at my injects, but what I'm doing now is I'm going to get some lings, just to try to burn some of that money and to burn some of those larvae I'm sitting around for a couple things. Lings with these roaches will do an excellent job. The lings will stop the roaches from being able to retreat, and they do fairly decent DPS once they get a surround. So I'm going to lose a few of them here. That's going to allow me to pick off some of his roaches as they focus down on the lings, and this will be a very economical trade-off for me. At least I hope. Take a look at this, units lost. It's really much about even at this point, but I was able to drive him out. We take a look at the units that each of us have, 23 to 21. So at this point, my army advantage is better than his. I have +1 attack. I have +2 being research, +1 armor. He has +0 at this point. And does he have anything? Yep, he is researching both of those. So because of my economy, I'm ahead of my upgrades. I have more workers, and he's also getting roach burrow and speed. Take a look at this, but as you can kind of see here, the benefits of that early pressure, especially when it doesn't do anything, really have no advantage whatsoever. They actually put you at a disadvantage, and I'm not claiming that either me or Benne are expert StarCraft players, but for hopefully some of you newer players or people that are coming back into the game, that early pressure absolutely needs to do something. So feeling confident about the size and strength of my army right now, I am going to move out. And if we go ahead and pause this here, take a look at my site, so I can see through my camera the tip of these roaches here, so I know that they're hiding here. So the idea is to bring these lings, so fucking chill, kind of like the leaders on the lacrosse team, bring them in and get a surround on these roaches, just like I did before, and bring my roaches in for the kill. So I have my +1, and I maybe could have waited a little bit for that attack to come in, but I wanted to put some pressure on him and kind of test the water and see what he could do. I have a lot of money, a lot of gas in reserve, so the idea is if this army gets destroyed, now that I have that hatchery coming up and I'm also putting down a micro hatchery, I in theory should be able to rebuild this army relatively quickly, hopefully quicker than him, because I'm assuming that he has not expanded. So I'll get my Lings to do the surround, and they're just soaking up damage, doing a little bit of DPS on their own, and the one advantage that he has is he has Burrow, and I do not have observation on him. So that definitely will hurt, and as you can see, we're pretty much exactly even on the units lost. We take a look at the units. I have 23 roaches to his 21, 14 lings to his 0 lings, and I'm now morphing 2 overseers. Let's go back to the production tab here, and I have 6 infestors on the way. So one little trick that I've kind of picked up listening to other people while you're, playing StarCraft and stuff is if you're going to go for infestors, as soon as your infestation hits, you want to get the neural glands, or whatever this upgrade is called here. I forget, I haven't played StarCraft in a long time. And the reason for that is you start that, and then about halfway through it, you can get your first batch of infestors out. So the upgrade will finish just before the infestors pop, and they'll have that extra energy right off the bat. So this build right here is going to allow me to trap his roaches, get them to stop burrow. My Lings are going to get very, very good surrounds, and then my roaches are quite powerful now. And also, the range upgrades benefit the infested Terran that your infestors get. So overall, my army composition should be fairly well. Should do pretty well against this. You can see he's pretty much going solid roach. Let's take a look at the income right here, 49 to 35. And now that I'm on 3 base, I definitely could use some more workers. I could probably get up to about that 60 to 65 area. And as you can see, I wasn't able to get that good of a surround, but I was able to fungal most of those roaches. I'm going to drop Infested Terran back here to hopefully kind of stop them. And with Infested Terran, what you want to do, it's a little too late now, but you want to try to get them behind the army if you know they're going to retreat, because they're so slow, they won't be able to do much damage. So these guys really aren't going to be able to help me out too much more, but I'm forcing a retreat on these roaches, and I can press the attack. And he is getting infestors out, but they probably do not have their upgrades. His upgrades are weaker than mine at this point, and because of that, with the combination of fungal and some infested Terran, my roaches are really just at this point going to steamroll him and end the game. And what I'm doing, if we go to the production tab, is you can see that I have a lot of units being built right now, and I'm setting the rally point to right here. So I want to continue the attack. To me, this is the game-ending attack, and that's really about it. Yeah, there's just not too much that Benne can do at this point. So I guess if anything can be learned from this particular game is, there's a lot of different builds that are out there, but it kind of depends on, how you make use of it. This early build that he went for roach aggression might not have been the best call on this particular map, just because there's so much travel time. I think it takes almost 45 to 50 seconds for your roaches to get all the way across the entire map. So when you think about that, if you sacrifice your early economy just to get some roaches out, maybe 30 seconds sooner than I do, at that point, I'm going to have more roaches than you at about the same relative timing than you do. And my god, I have so much unspent money that's not even funny. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. This has been Malikicowtipper, signing out.